Alright, hello again everyone. This is Jeff Scott from Jeff Teaches Programming. And in the last video that I created for you, we finished up version 1 of the payroll program as a console application. And you see it right now. It's about 400 lines. We've got a very similar pattern that we're using whether we're inputting something for being valid or being out of range, etc. So we're going to fix that. All right, but before we do, I want to talk about something else which we're going to incorporate into the next version, and that is talking about exceptions. Now, I've mentioned exceptions before, and I'm going to come in here, I'm going to add a new project, and I'm just going to call it, we'll make it a console app, and I want it to be at the bottom, so I'm going to call it ZZ Exception Handling. Okay? And right now, you've seen this before. Well, of course, I did the wrong one. So let me get rid of that. Sorry about that. Make sure it's gone from here as well. Just close this. All right, it's gone. So let's bring it back again. Sorry about that. So let's open our project and let's come in and add, opening our solution, let's add a new project to it. We want the console app.net framework. So again, I'll write this down. Just call it ZZ Exceptions. How's that? And there it is. That's what I want. Again, we don't need any of this. And I will add using static system.console. All right. Now I'm going to write a simple program here that it's going to break. I won't have it break on purpose. So I'm going to say here int x. We'll do it like that. We'll do int x. How about this? We'll do it real simple. String number 1 str. Set it equal to nothing. Int number 1. We'll set it equal to 0. And we'll do the same thing here, but we'll make it number 2. So this will be number 2 string. And this will be number 2. Okay. This is just going to be really simple in just a minute. All right. And we're also going to have a double, which we'll call quotient. And we're going to set it equal to 0.0. We could have just set it equal to 0 and it would have worked fine, but that's fine. All right. So we got everything we need now. Okay. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say write input first number number 1 str equals read line. Write input second number. Put a space in here so they line up. Number 2 str equal read line. In fact, let's come in here and let's immediately convert this. So we're going to say number 1 equals int dot tryparse. Okay. Like something, we'll fix it in just a minute. So what doesn't it like? Oh, bool result 1 equals that. and we'll say bool result 2 is going to be equal to this. Okay, and then we're going to say quotient equals, and we'll cast double number 1 divided by, we'll cast them both. You don't have to do that, but we will. Double number 2. Okay, and then right line, the answer is plus quotient dot toString, and we'll make it N2. Okay. All right. Again, it may or may not look like it, but this is a very simple program. So let's look at real quickly what we're doing here. We're telling we want to input a number, and we're converting it. Telling it to input another number, and then converting it, and then dividing the first number by the second number, giving the answer. Okay, pretty simple stuff. Let's make that our active project, our startup project, and then let's run it. Well, that's interesting. Let's see here. These exceptions. Not recognizing my write statements. Oh, that's a little bizarre. We're going to figure it out, though. So, there we go. I don't know what was going on. So if we put in here 56 and 17, the answer is 3.29. Okay? And if I use my Windows calculator, and I come in here and say 56 divided by 17, I get 3.294 and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it works. Okay? Now, a couple things. First of all, let's talk about how we can break this. And we can break it real easily. Okay, I'm going to run it again. And I'm going to put nothing in there. I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to hit enter again. And it says the answer is NAN, which is not a number. Technically, it didn't break, but it didn't like that either. So let's run it one more time. And I'm going to put in here, hello, goodbye. And again, the answer is NAN, not a number. So notice it says here, it exited with a code of 0. Now this is something fairly new because it used to just blow up when you did that. And it's not blowing up right now. Okay? Okay. So, but how can we try to fix this? All right. What about this? What if we put in here 56 and 0? It says the answer is infinity, and really the program's not blowing up at all, even though I want it to blow up. And that's not a good thing. All right. Well, you can see that if we put something non-numeric in there, it's not working. And this isn't exactly working the way that I want it to, but we're going to fix it anyway. All right. Now, this would work better, I believe, if we had a program that was not a console program. So let's take everything we've got here. See, that's easy exceptions. Let's add it. Let's create a new program. And it'll be a Windows Forms app framework. We're going to call it ZZ Exceptions GUI. Okay. And again, I'm going to keep it simple. Change the color here. Let's go all the way to the end here. That's good. All right, let's put in 3 buttons as we have been doing. That's good. Let's put in 3 labels. Bring that down a bit. That looks good. And let's add, we'll add 1 more label here. And let's add 2 text boxes. Did not want to do that. And I've shown you this before, but I'm going to show it to you again. Get rid of that. We don't need this. We don't need the payroll program up right now. Okay. I don't want that change thing, so I'm going to click over here on this lightning bolt. Find where it says text box to text changed and just remove it there. All right, now let's highlight all of it. Let's highlight everything. Okay, back to here, and let's set this to Arial bold 18. Looks a little better already. That looks a little nicer, I think. All right, so let's lock it into place. All right, let's start fixing this. Okay, this will be LBL number 1, and it'll say enter number 1. Looks like it needs to be a little bit wider, but that's fine. We'll fix that in a minute. This will be LBL number 2. And it will say enter number 2. And this will say answer. And it'll be LBL answer. This will be the answer heading. No, I just want that to say answer. All right, and this will be LBL answer heading. All right, show you a real quick way too that I'm going to unlock these, and I'm going to highlight all 4 of them. And right now the size is 176.45. I'm going to change it from 176 to, let's make it 200. There. So I changed all of them at once. Good. All right. Let's fix these. So this will be TXT number 1. This will be TXT number 2. This will be LBL answer. Let's lock everything here. And let's put these, and we don't want any text in there for our answer. This will be BTN calculate. And we'll put in there ampersand calculate. This will be clear, and it'll be btn clear. And this will be btn exit, and it'll have exit on it. All right, we'll do the calculate in just a moment. Let's do the clear first. So txt number 1 dot text equals nothing. Txt number 2 dot text equals nothing. And lbl answer dot text equals nothing. And txt number 1 dot focus. Now, because I'm trying to teach you good habits, we're going to grab all this, cut, get rid of it. We'll call clear all fields, which doesn't exist, so we get an error. Private void clear all fields, and there it is. So that is done. Oh, I think I lost a curly brace in here. There we go. So that should work. Now for our exit, call our familiar exit program or not, which again does not exist. Okay, I'll grab that from an earlier program. So here's a GUI app. Done this before, so it's no biggie. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of this. Bring this back. Okay, so those two should already be done. Let's double check. Let's do one last thing first, and that is we will set, well, two things. Let's say FRM exception handler, and we'll give it some text. Exception handler GUI app. Okay, we will set our accept button to btn calculate, our cancel button to btn clear, and we will set our start position to center screen. All right, let's see if these work now. Let's do one last thing first, because I'm just a little anal about this. There. All right, so let's run it. Oh, got to make that our active program. By setting it as our startup project. Okay, so there that is. Good. We'll set that at the beginning, and we'll. Okay, so 23.4 clear works, and there's our cursor. Exit also works. Okay, good. Couple things. Let's fix these. So we will set our text align to middle center. We will set text align here to center. Okay, run it one more time just so you can see a little bit of the difference we just made here. All right, we didn't do that, so let's do that too. So for form load, we'll say txt number1 dot select. Okay, that should be pretty much everything we need except for our calculate, of course. So calculate doesn't do anything. Clears it. Exit, no. Exit, yes. Okay, that all works. All right. So for our calculate, let's just type in calculate quotient. Okay, which we'll put underneath. Okay, we're not going to put any exception handling or any error handling in here at all when we start. Okay, so I'm going to say int number1 equals txt number1 dot text. Now you'll notice it doesn't like that. Okay, it says unnecessary assignment, cannot convert string to int. Okay, so we'll say here int. That doesn't like that either. How about int.parse? Okay, there's the first one. So we'll call that again number1. And then we'll have number2. And that'll be int.parse number2.text. Finally, we'll put in here double quotient. And that'll be number1 divided by number2. And finally, we'll say LBL answer dot text equal quotient dot toString, which again we will put into 2 decimal places. Okay. All right. So file, save all, run the program, use the same one we used before, 56 and 17, and we should get 3.29. Oops. Well, we didn't cast. So say double here. You can cast either one or both. I'm just going to cast the one so it's here. Again, we'll say 56 and 17, and it should come back with 3.29, and it does. Good. Clear works, calculate works. Let's do a file, save all. All right. Now let's run it and see if we can make it break. We get a system format exception right there. And it says input string was not in the correct format. All right, how can we try to fix this? Well, we tried doing an int.parse, and technically that int.parse did not work. Okay, I'm going to change this around just a little bit. And let me grab these. And don't worry, get rid of the errors in about 30 seconds. I'm just going to change this to int number1 is equal to 0. Int number2 is equal to 0. And double quotient is equal to 0.0. Okay. Now it's coming in here. It says unnecessary assignment because it does default to 0. I don't care. I'm doing it anyway. Why? Because I think it's a good idea. Again, there. Now, where we've got these right here, all we have to do is remove the int and the int and the double. All right, now let's uncomment these. Let's run it again. It should run exactly the same as it did. 56, 17, 3.29. Okay, everything works. Good. But we still have the same problem. that if I come in here and run it, and I put nothing in here and I click calculate, I get that nasty system format exception. And I don't want that. All right. Now, there's different ways I can do this. You saw this in the past where we came in here, we did a try parse instead of a parse. All right. So we can do a try parse here if we want to, but what if we do this and we try doing it in a little bit different way? All right. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to type in try, put in curly braces, and I'm going to grab everything that we've got in here and put it in there. Now it's giving me an error because it wants to have a catch. Now the error that we just got, right? The error that we just got was a system format exception. All right. And it may not want this. I'm goofing up here with my syntax, but we'll fix it in just a moment. Okay. So the thing is, what we want to do here, first of all, we don't need the system, and the format exception should be in parentheses. Like that. All right. We can tell it what we want it to do if we get a system format exception. So this is what I'm going to tell it to do. I'm going to say message box dot show illegal input. Try again. Okay. And we'll put in here for our heading illegal input. And we will just put an OK button in here. And that is an error. So this is all good. Now, what else do we want to do? Well, it's not enough to just say, hey, we got an error here. Okay. What we want to do is we want to remove anything that's in here. So we'll say, let's just remove everything. We'll say txt number1.text equals nothing. Txt number2.text equals nothing. Txt number1.focus, and we'll return. All right, let's see what we just did and what it'll change us, how it'll change us. So file, save all. Let's run it. All right, and it doesn't matter, but I'm going to put some junk in here. And notice it says illegal input, try again. Boom. So if we put in here, the problem is right now the way it's written, if I put in 56 and I put in this, it's going to remove both of these. Okay? So there's different ways around that, but what I'm trying to show you here is this is a format for what's called a try catch. You try to do some code and you catch what can possibly go wrong. All right, what if we do this? What if we try in here to put in 56 and 0? We calculate. It gives us infinity. Well, I don't really want that either. All right, so I'm going to catch another exception in here. Catch. It's a divide by 0 exception. And if that happens, I know it's got to be the second number that I'm trying to divide by. So I'm going to say illegal divide by 0. And here we're just going to put down can't divide by 0. And we'll say this. All right, so now file, save all, and we're going to run it. Technically, 56 divided by 0 is infinity, but now if we say 56 and 0, it's still doing it. Because technically that is legal. Wow. Let's see. Let's go ask our friend the internet here. Can I force a divide by 0 exception in C#? It says divide by 0 is not designed for floating numbers. All right, the exception is thrown when an attempt to divide an integer by 0. Well, those were integers. All right, but remember what I did was I did this. So let's see if we remove that now. And I say 56 and 0. There you go. Illegal divide by 0. What I'm trying to show you here is a way, all right, is a way that rather than using the if statements that we were using, another way of handling this. We told it to try doing these 4 things. If any of them failed and it gave us a format exception, do this. If any of them failed and it gave us a divide by 0 exception, do this. You can also catch just an exception, all right, which is real generic. But I'm just going to put in here exception. All right, and I'm just going to say exception occurred. And I'll put here unknown exception. And all it'll do is return. All right, so what happens here is if I get a format exception, this code will run. If I get a divide by 0 exception, this code will run. If I get any kind of other kind of exception, this code will run. Now, when you're doing this, there's an order. You have to put the most general exception at the end and the most specific exception at the top. If I change this and I put this one first, all right, so if I put this one first, it's not going to matter what I do. All right, it's not. Notice it even says the exception is thrown when the format is invalid. So basically it says down below that, it says a previous catch is going to make this moot because it can't be called because this is more general or generic. So it has to be in that order. Now, what does this have to do basically with anything? Why am I even showing you this? Because what we've been doing in the past with our previous program is we've been using a lot of if statements. All right? And one last time, I want to show you one thing here. So let me get rid of this. It's pretty much what I wanted to show you here. And let me get rid of this. And if we look at the program that we had just done, the last, or I should say the first iteration of our payroll program, all right, GUI console here, and I look at the code, all right, remember that basically what we did here is we have in here an if where we're doing a try parse, right? And that's going to input our valid hours. There's nothing wrong with doing it this way. It'll work just fine. But if you notice here, we're inputting valid hours worked, and then we're inputting valid hourly rate. So look at this code right here, and then look at this code that's up here. It's very, very, very similar code. So what we want to be able to do is we want to take that code and write generic functions. So if we want to do any illegal entry, meaning we've got a numeric field and we're putting into it something non-numeric, all right, that we handle it. And we don't have to write a separate routine for each one of these, just one routine. Also, we want to write one so that if we put in something that's out of range, all right, remember, this was a range thing in here. Okay, so we are handling it actually pretty well right now, but I want to show you how to handle this and write things in a more generic manner. So when I come back, hopefully you got a little something out of this lecture, which has been a little over half an hour. So when I come back, all right, I'm going to try to go and write more generic routines. So we'll come back with that in just a couple of minutes. Thanks.